Welcome to
Okay,
episode 6 of Good Casual.
no, this is episode 3.c over 305
yeah,
days.
Yeah, so it's like episode 3 officially 1 and we forgot to say no ads.
No
No
ads.
ads. Oh, okay. I got a story about ads today. I started a video on YouTube. I wanted to call you all at the moment this happened. I put a video, and it starts. The video starts without ad. Of course, I didn't notice because this is how things are supposed to be. And the video stopped running after 40 seconds, just froze. Everything was working with the internet. Everything was perfect. So I reload the page, and when I reload the page, I get the ads, and then I realized that since they didn't put ads, they just realized that like 40 minutes in, and they were like, whoa. No, you get ads. So that's my story about ads. Fuck ads.
But I think I told you guys that I went over to YouTube the other day, and they played me an ad, and it was this. I think it was like a mattress company, and they were like, "Oh man, thanks to like YouTube ads, we were able to grow." And I was like, "Oh fuck!" Now they're making ads about themselves. You know, they become self-aware.
Yeah, I mean, it's the ads, right? Like it's not YouTube. We nobody can control the ads. That's what we've learned.
Man, the thing is, like, I was doing, training in the morning, and I love like to listen to motivational stuff. And I'm training, right? I'm doing forms, I'm doing my practices, man. I'm like listening to the motivational stuff, right? I'm totally in the zone, and it's like I don't know what was it about, man. I think the Robin Hood, like investment shit, or or like stock market shit. I don't remember what it was again, like something like that. I was like, what the fuck, man? It just pulled me totally out of it, and I'm like, man, yeah.
Hey,
so,
Robbie, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to say, like, so usually, podcasts and all this stuff, they start with like a 5-minute rant about the sponsors and the ads and whatever shit, And I think we could do a 5-minute rant at the beginning, how much we hate. Like, but you just waste the same amount of time, but like, just like hate, like, like hate speech towards ads and sponsors.
Our ads hate story, right? Like our ads hate story of the day, and then we can just bring something to the table about that.
I saw something the other day. I don't think I've seen it before, and I'm really surprised I haven't seen it before. And it was that that after a few seconds you can hit the skip ad button. Well, there was a second ad, and I was like, "Oh fuck! Someone's gonna realize this, and it's gonna be like watching TV. Like it's gonna be 20 ads like back to back. So you're gonna have to like stay on the videos just so you can click the button every 3 seconds and just like skip 20 ads for a 2-minute message for a 2-minute video."
One thing I have to admit. Like, first of all, you're right. The internet is turning to the TV, like commercial shit. The other thing I want to say is, like, the good thing about it is that, for example, I'm watching something on YouTube, and sometimes you go on YouTube and you just like go on an odyssey from video to video, and then I watch a video, and then fucking ad pops in, and some of the ads you can't skip. I don't know if you noticed. Some of the ads you have to fucking watch. I don't know how they do that. And then for me, it's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not going to watch the video at all. And then sometimes it's just like, sometimes I want to watch a quick video and a fucking ad comes. I'm like, yeah, fucking, you know what? I'm just going to do something else.
Yeah.
I'm going to do something else. Fuck you.
Yeah.
If you don't want me to watch it, I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah. To be honest, like, all this said, if I wasn't in a place where the internet is what it is, and YouTube is not even supposed to be a thing, right? I would be paying like for the YouTube Premium. Like, I don't care. I paid it for a while just to test it. Actually, I only did the free trial, but like I would pay that, right? Because I do use YouTube a lot, and I mean, I understand that YouTube Premium exists because of how obnoxious they make ads. You know, it's like they created a problem and then they created the solution. Uh, but like I would pay that. I would pay that because I'm the same way. Sometimes I see one of these unskippable ads and I go like, you know what? I don't need YouTube right now. It's just like I go like I don't need to go
Yeah.
through this and that's kind of the other side of the coin, right? Like they want you to want their solution, but some people are just going to be like, maybe there's better things to do, and I don't know.
Yeah, and something.
I like that. I like that. Yeah.
Go for it, Darko.
I just wanted to say that they come out with a product, YouTube, amazing, and then they introduce a problem. They're like, oh fuck, and then they introduce a solution to the problem they made themselves.
Yeah.
Like, oh, now we have this, but we can't do anything against it. Basically, like so, like, what if you pay, you can have this. So that's smart. Make a product that everybody loves, and then introduce a problem, and then a solution to the problem that people have to pay for.
I can understand that it's smart, but I don't want to use the word smart to describe it.
Yeah.
Devious.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Devious.
I can see. And the other side of that is that on your phone, if you turn the screen off and you have regular YouTube, the video just stops. So it's like really annoying to watch videos on your phone, because that's one of the selling points of you paying them, that that the app will work as an app should. You pay them. Another I guess like interesting point to that you kind of like alluded to earlier, Darko, is this idea that these people are going into YouTube and making videos that hopefully are for the purpose of people like they're hopefully making videos so people watch them, but then they put ads so people don't watch them. Hey, for these like some seconds, don't watch my content. And that will be beneficial for me. This is kind of like almost like a backwards thing, kind of mentality going on.
You know what's the other problem, and this is from like the art of video making perspective, and this is something that TV dealt with to varying degrees, is that YouTube videos are not made for ads, right? Like usually they get cut on the weirdest places and the message or the momentum all falls off. While TV shows, they were made with ads in mind, right? 11 minutes ads and 11 minutes, and stuff like that. And they would have a lot more cohesion, I'm not saying they would work with ads in some way. And that's an art that is lost in YouTube. Like if you want to make videos and you want to monetize them, then at least like have the decency of making the putting the videos, the ads correctly with your video editing. That's what I
can
would
definitely
say
see that. Yeah, because also on TV there's times where like the momentum of the show like spikes, and then you're like, oh shit, I need to watch the ads because I actually want to know what's gonna happen next. Versus
especially on sitcoms,
yeah,
sitcoms.
exactly.
Because it's comedy, so you need that momentum, you need that pacing to be pristine, or otherwise it's not gonna be funny, and that's just it. But with ads, you have to deal with that.
Yeah, and I've seen certain videos where it's like someone giving a speech, and then mid-sentence an ad starts, and then it continues for the rest of the sentence, and it's like, oh, what were you talking about? You were talking about Geico just now?
Man, the one thing is like, huh?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't work. Like it doesn't work just having ads in the middle of videos like that. That's one thing they have. I think.
And that's what you said, Rafa. You said the same thing. You remember when you did the meditation thing? Like, who the fuck thought it's a great idea to put an ad in a meditation video? Like, what the well, like,
yeah, dude. Hey,
like fucking car insurance.
Yeah. You're just kind of like laying there relaxing, exploring space or whatever you're doing, and then suddenly someone's like, hey, did you know you can make money by just sitting at your house doing nothing? Well, yeah, you can if you listen to this whole video. I'm gonna teach you how. if you buy my course, listen to this whole video.
Man, no, I can't. I can't. To be honest, with the internet stuff and everything, as much as I love it, now I'm feeling like, you know what, it's getting too much. I feel like it's getting too much. I don't know. And now actually I started a new thing where I plug out the internet router in the evening, and I remove the SIM card of my phone, because I've noticed, man, in the last couple of weeks, man, like when I would stand up in the mornings, for example, I go almost directly to my phone, which I didn't do in the past. Maybe because like now I'm not doing shit anymore. So in the beginning it was like stand up, go for Tai Chi, do all this stuff, Qigong, and then after breakfast, like it's some pause and then you go on the phone. But now it's like, because I don't train anymore like that, uh, the phone is kind of like, my alarm, and then it's already in my hand. So, the internet is there, etc., etc. So what I'm doing really now is really plug out the internet router in the evening, remove the SIM card of my phone, and then the next day I do my shit. Like I write down my dreams, I do meditation, I train, and then after like 5-6 hours, I plug in the internet again. I do for an hour or two the shit I have to do. I try to make it really like put it together, and then I plug it out again for the rest of the day. And I'm trying like this since like Friday to live like that way, and it's very, very calming. I have to admit, it's very, very calming. Like no shit at all. I feel like what do you call it? Yeah, because to be honest, man, the stuff I watch on YouTube and everything, it's actually, anyways, it's interesting and everything, but it's kind of useless.
Yeah.
I feel like I've watched so many videos in YouTube. I have no fucking clue what I've watched in the last 10 years. Like, about nuclear power, about wars, about history of the planet, and everything is very interesting, but I wouldn't be able to recall anything of it. And now I'm asking myself, I'm reading tons of books, like audiobooks and all the shit, right? And some of the things stick with me, but then I've asked myself, is it worth it putting so many hours into sucking up information, which then 93% gets lost? And some of the things were like very amazing, but like, yeah, I feel like now I'm like returning to, you know what, I actually don't need as much information.
You know,
And
with
it
the
goes back to the things we talked in the first video, that everything that you want to do basically is already inside of you.
in the first video, lost in the in
First
the
video doesn't
dimension
exist.
of
Yeah,
it.
we'll have to get
Remember.
back to that topic.
So
Yeah,
it's
we'll
valuable.
definitely.
I made some notes, but then I made some notes after that.
It's awesome. It doesn't matter, man. It's cool. I, two things you mentioned there. The waking up, right? Like how you take your mornings, and recently I've been like putting my phone on sleep mode, not so much disconnecting the thing, but maybe that could help too. And not in sleep mode. I mean on airplane mode, which is something I heard. Yeah, airplane mode, and because I do use it for alarms. But maybe could use the other phone I have for alarm, now that I think about it. And sometimes I just put it on airplane mode and out of sight, and I feel different. Like after 1 or 2 hours like that go away, and I remember like, oh right, I haven't like looked at my phone. I just been doing whatever it is I set myself to do this morning. It feels like really, really good, really good. It feels different, like different time. And I realized that I'm not always connected like that all the time, that I need to have the phone. Actually, I don't even like have like too much social media interaction and stuff like that. So probably it's not that weird for me to be in airplane mode. But it really like changes even like that.
Yep. A few things to what you guys have said. First of all, like Darko, keep us posted on how it goes. That practice of like turning off the internet. Because one thing that I really liked about that is that, I mean, sure, you could just like wake up and immediately plug it in, but I feel like having it unplugged adds an extra layer of almost like difficulty.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Because
That's
you
why
can't just
like
like
out the
plug in the
cables.
internet and log on. You need to plug in the internet and then wait like 5 minutes for it to like do all its magic and then connect. So it almost even like that practice itself like almost even pushes you to do something else because it would be annoying to like get back on the internet. Um, then another thing, based on what you were talking about, Edward, is that maybe something that you should try is because you mentioned you use your phone for the alarm for, and that's where you kind of keep it on. Um, Try when you go to sleep, just like kind of like set the intention of when you want to wake up, because something that I've been doing for kind of like this past year is that I don't I I don't set an alarm unless I'm going to sleep very late. So it's like I need to wake up in like 3 hours or something like that, and that's kind of when I set it. Um, and I haven't really like had any like big issues like at the school. I never really like made it to class late because I overslept or anything like that. It's like somehow your mind is really good at figuring out what time it is and waking you up. And in fact, now when I set up an alarm, I usually wake up like almost exactly 5 minutes before the alarm rings. So I never actually get to like hear the alarm.
Man, that's
That might work.
amazing. You actually, what's funny? I have the same thing when I set the alarm. I'll wake up almost every time, unless I get really, really late to bed, a couple of minutes before the alarm, a couple of minutes before
Mm.
it. And you know what's also what you have to try to the airplane mode? That's one thing I'm doing since years. Because like a couple of years ago, like when I went through my depression and everything, a lot of people want to contact me, and it was like too much output from the outside world, and I, the phone contract thing. I got rid of the
Mhm.
phone contract and everything, and then I started leaving my phone at home. Then I go outside at my MP3 player for training, all the shit. And then people
See.
got also like pissed, hey, why aren't you, like why aren't you taking your phone with you, like blah blah blah. And I'm like, man, I'm not here to be there for you the whole time, right? One other thing you have to try, but I did what I started last year is so we have like Instagram, Facebook, SMS, WeChat, all these social media things, and like when there's like a red thing, like how many messages you got, and you have
Oh
this
yeah,
feeling
the
like you kind of
notification.
exactly notifications. Man, please do this. My phone, every app, like seriously, every app like that even hints a notification, even it's not social media. Everything else too, notifications completely blocked. Like I can't even get even when I on my phone and you calling me, I'm not getting the call. I'm not getting the
Mm.
call because it's fucking blocked. And it's to me like I casted out time for like social media, like like I go quickly in, check, okay, go WhatsApp, bam, go Facebook, bam, go Instagram, bam, reply to messages, like a couple of minutes, and then I go fucking out of it again. But what I've noticed now, what changed is now I have like to come up with my own schedule, and because I don't have to be anywhere at a certain time, now I feel like I have time to indulge myself in videos and doing social media shit, and that's why I like, notice like, oh, I'm going in a direction I really don't want to go. And that's why I started the practice with like fucking plugging out.
Yeah, and something I feel like sometimes I download an app and then the app sends me a notification, and especially like a notification with a sound, and I'm like, oh, you're done for, and it
Yeah.
just gets
Mhm.
immediately deleted. Like I can't. I remember I had this almost like huge battle with WeChat because WeChat you can kind of like block it on your phone, but then it kind of
Mhm.
like overwrites it. And more importantly, if you put your phone on do not disturb, it still sends you the notification. So
Okay.
I was
Mhm.
like, how dare you, really? And then I just muted everything that I could, like in the app and then on the phone. And right now, pretty much the only two things that make a sound are uh, WhatsApp and when I get a call. And I'm kind of like at the point where I hear the WhatsApp sometimes, and I don't even like it doesn't even register because I'm like, yeah, I'll just answer later. Whoever really needs to talk to me can call. But yeah,
Mhm.
I'm kind of I feel like for me the phone is mostly an MP3 player that connects to the internet for even more music.
Yeah.
And then also
Right,
calls.
right.
But I feel like I have it mainly as a device, as a carrier of Spotify. And
podcasts, right? Podcasts, or you're not listening to podcasts recently?
no, maybe audiobooks would be the other thing, but no, not
There's
podcast.
that.
No podcasts right now.
Yeah. I wanted to bring podcasts back because Darko mentioned that all this information, consuming all this information, and how that became kind of a thing, or it's a thing, right? And with podcasts, it was very noticeable because there's all these podcasts about like how things are made, which are super super popular, and many shows about. And I had a time when I discovered podcasts that I wanted to really like. I subscribe to all these channels. I'm like, oh, I can just
Oh
listen
yeah.
to this while I'm doing nothing and
Yeah.
learn stuff, and then I can be more interesting, and maybe I get weird ideas for my games and all these kinds of things. And what happened really was that I couldn't do any of that really. Like the idea that every silent time that I would have, I would like have something talking to me about anything, really quickly peter out. Like that flame didn't burn at all. And yeah, like we don't need all this information. Like I don't know where I read that having information for possible things that we might need, like just storing information that we might need in the future is really not like a good idea. Like I don't remember exactly how I got to it. And yeah, like I completely agree with that. I can't learn like fun facts, stuff like that. Like yeah, I like listening to fun facts and stuff like that. It's not that I don't, but like dedicating myself to it and thinking that yeah, all this information is going to be like valuable somehow. No, I'm off that boat now.
So I
Mm.
guess that's kind of interesting because I feel like, in a sense, I'm almost like in the opposite end of that. In like a year ago, I remember I was talking to this guy who has dyslexia, and he was telling me that when he learned speed reading, he was having a lot of trouble in school because he couldn't like figure out what the books were saying. But then he learned speed reading. But the main thing about speed reading wasn't just getting through the books quickly, was trusting that the information was saving somewhere on his mind where he would get it when it was useful for him, but he wouldn't
Mm.
immediately remember it. So it was kind of like just that trust that, so it's saving somewhere in your brain, and even though you won't be able to use it, or maybe it won't come out in a conversation on the topic or anything like that, when you really need it, something of that knowledge will kind of like come out. So something that I do is I have like specific activities there that I feel like my brain is active enough where I can listen to things really quickly and really like absorb them, and I generally like don't have like any like intention of really learning it. And it has become more of a space to just learn weird things. So for example, I was listening recently to like Terrence McKenna, and so he talks a lot about like psychedelics and all stuff and all that stuff, and that has never been like a realm that I've ever like stepped into or even researched. But then I was hearing all these like crazy ideas, and I was like, oh cool, that's like a different way that I can explain something that I already had in my mind, kind of thing. But then again, like you guys are saying, most of the conversation there, I wouldn't remember it. But then again, I'm not even trying to. Um, and I think maybe like another thing that's helping me with that is that sometimes when I go to like play the video or the audio or whatever it is, I get this feeling that, you know what, not right now, and then I just don't play it. As opposed to that, I feel like before it was almost like a need, like, oh shit, I'm not doing anything. I need to be playing a
Mm.
podcast, or I need to be listening to something. I need to be doing something productive. Sometimes just, and I think it was you who was mentioning, sometimes just like being in that silent moment is the best thing you can do.
I like that. So one thing I really like about what you said, like, is trusting that the information is somewhere stored, which I also kind of believe, but the accessibility is very interesting to it. It's also very interesting to it. Then The other thing I want to say is like, you know what's the problem? Like, you just said that at the end where like you feel like, you know, doing something and then like, oh, I want to be productive, so like, oh, like listening to something like here I think it's like a kind of false sense of productivity. Like
Yeah.
I think we
That
think
trap, right?
Oh yeah.
we're doing something by absorbing a lot of information, but at the end of the day, when you look back, yes, this information might be useful at one point in your life. Who knows? But I feel like really like now, like oh my god, I feel like I'm waste. It's also like a distraction.
Hmm.
I feel it's like a very good covered distraction. Like
Yeah,
hey,
it's you're
I'm doing something.
procrastinating by acting
Yeah.
busy. Yeah, I remember at the office sometimes we would be at this we would work with like really high profile clients, and something that I remember getting right at the start and then people just stopped saying it to me was that, hey, you need to like do your research and keep tabs on everything that is going on with the client, and read a bunch of articles and read the newspaper like in the mornings, and keeping tabs with like the stuff, that the kind of technology that has to do with their business and all that. And I was like, no, that sounds boring. Why the hell would I do any of that? And actually, like, as I'm saying that, I remember a long time ago, uh, I listened to a bunch of the podcasts from James Altucher, and something that he would say is, don't read the news, because most of the stuff in there is crap. And if you really, 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 really need to know something about the news, someone's gonna mention it to you. There is no way that you're not gonna know that there's a storm coming your way. If you're in a place that's like a tropical storm, that's like a hurricane coming your way, and you don't read the news, you don't read the newspaper, there's no way someone's not gonna be like, holy shit, did you hear about the storm? Someone's always going to bring up the important things that you need to be aware of. So yeah.
That's just really amazing. It's really. I never thought about like. I love it. I love it. I never
Yeah.
thought about this way. You're right. Yeah, you're right. Do you
I,
guys
I'm
watch news?
no,
Then
not
maybe
really.
okay. I have a question. I have a question. Um, three questions. Do you both of you do you watch news or newspapers? Then, are you watching TV? And if both questions are like answered with no, when, because I assume at one point you were reading newspapers because kind of like everybody does it at one point, and watching TV at one point. When was the point where you decided not to read newspapers or like get information from the news anymore and stop watching TV?
Man, I have dyslexia, so reading the newspaper was never. Now that you mention it, I was like, oh shit, this is something that I should have been doing. I didn't know that. So I didn't even consider it. And then news, I think growing up, we always had the news playing in the mornings, like when I was getting ready for school and all that kind of stuff. Um, and so that was kind of there, but I don't think I like put on the news myself. I maybe had some morning like programs that kind of delved on some news, but I never really like looked at the news. And then I think was one of the questions like when you stopped
Mm-hmm.
uh, with TV. I think I stopped watching TV when I went to. I think in high school, I I I was already using the TV more as like background noise. So I would have the
Mm-hmm.
TV playing on the background, but then I would probably be playing games or something. And then in college, I didn't really have a TV in my room. So I think that's when like I really got the disconnect. That sometimes I would turn it on and I'd plug it in and kind of like get it to work and watch something, but it would be so much of a hassle to actually get it working that I feel like it just created that first disconnect, or finalized the disconnect that was already going on since I was in high school.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, I've never read the newspaper because
Good.
I wasn't a reader when I was growing up. Ironically, I actually didn't really start reading books after 10 years old, I think. But probably because of games, I read some there, but not even that much. And then TV, I think a similar story to Rafa's. I don't remember exactly when I stopped watching TV, but I think I just became much more attuned to just using the internet for everything, and so sometimes in my early teens, TV. Yeah, I don't remember like TV, right? Uh, I think I mostly just played games whenever I was like connected to a device to like the TV, and then otherwise I was doing something else generally. After my early teens, so maybe around end of high school and college as well.
Mm.
And the news, I
Yeah.
never saw the news either way though. Actually, I remember like the news that I remember the most was like Primer Impacto, which is what set me up to hate news, anyways,
Oh,
because it
because
was,
that one, yeah, that one is
yeah,
focused on all the really bad shit that happened.
yeah, and it was like
Okay.
late at night, and my mom would have it running, would have it on, and sometimes I would just be in the room or whatever, and really like I would get disgusted, mostly not because the world is such a disgusting place or anything like that, but because that's what they were just trying to portray, right? Like they just wanted to portray like the worst of the worst all the time. And I was like, this is not for me. And like Rafa said, if there's a hurricane coming, you if you don't notice it by your normal senses, because it's a goddamn hurricane, somebody or something like people are running around with their heads cut off, like
Yeah.
buying water and stuff. Like you will notice, and I'm a firm believer that they knowing something and knowing how to know something, it's knowing how to know something is more valuable than knowing something, right? Like knowing how to go out there and get that information that might be very specific that you need, it's like more valuable than actually having it in your mind all the time and
Mm.
making sure you don't forget it, right? Because memorization is work, right? And so maybe you don't need to memorize everything, but being able to like access anything between a few clicks, if we're talking in the internet era, or within a call, maybe to a friend or something, like it's as valuable, if not more, than actually quote unquote knowing things, right? But yeah, that's my
Interesting.
2 cents.
Interesting. To the internet stuff, I just like, what's my first thought? Like when I learn things, I have this thought of, if the internet breaks down and like no electricity, no nothing, and the only way of getting information is like the paper books, people, and the information I have to start in myself. What would be like very like useful for me to know? So
Mm.
you know what I mean. So like for me, it's like sometimes when I learn things, it's like when the world goes to shit, and like nothing works, and I can't access the internet anymore. Like, is this gonna be like important for me? Yes or no? So that's like kind of question that sometimes pops up,
Mm.
but I don't really like pay too much attention to it. But I might be actually like thinking more about it. But yeah, the it's weird. I grew like similar up like with my parents. Also had in the background like the news was running like in the mornings, in the evenings, and I remember when I was a little kid, what made me hate the news. I think I was like 10, 11 years old. I was exactly at the same time when Dragon Ball Z was playing, and 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 fuck, and my parents sometimes went to the neighbors and watched news with them. And then I remember there was this one episode I will never ever forget that again. It was the moment where Son Goku was about to turn into Super Saiyan. And I was like, like sometimes it's the precast, and it's gonna at the end of the episode, the next episode that's gonna happen. I'm like, holy fucking shit! And my parents were like, for like a month, they were watching the news, like, or for the couple of weeks, like somewhere else always. And then exactly that day when Son Goku is about to turn to Super Saiyan the first time, my parents decided to watch the news at our place and occupying the TV, and it took me years to see that scene. access to the internet as well until I could talk. And I remember when I got internet, like the first time internet, like 16, 17, something like that. That was one of the first things I looked up in internet. The scene where Son Goku turns into Super Saiyan Man. And yeah, that was like basically like I just had to know it, right? And that was like basically the time I like, yeah, I wanted to do something, like I wanted to get something from the TV, but this news thing, which my parents watched and then complained about, my parents were like amazing complainers. Um, yeah, that just made me like really like really dislike it. And then the newspapers, I liked just certain kind of newspapers where I read the comedy part, some technology shit, or like the astrology shit
Mm-hmm.
for the like some part of that. And basically that's it. When I was 17, I remember like I was 16, 17. I remember I turned away completely from TV. I was like, okay, this is like not. I have a computer now. I'm gonna get the information that I want at the time that I want and how I want, and not this
Mm-hmm.
fucking TV anymore. So yeah, I'm glad I did that. I'm fucking glad I did that.
Yeah, I mean,
So
News and useless.
yeah, and it gets me thinking, like, what kind of effect does it have um, on the, you
Brain.
know, on that country, that
Oh.
everyone's like spending like every morning watching news and that kind of stuff, and I'm especially thinking about Puerto Rico, because there we have, I feel like the biggest shows that people just generally have on TV are news, and then this other show that's about gossip. Um,
mm-hmm.
that they have playing like every night during the weekdays. So it's like you start the day with all these stories about how people are getting just fucked, and then you end the day about, about how people are just like monsters, or however you want to put
Mm-hmm.
it, that you're trying to like
Yeah,
get through to them through
people's
gossip.
lives.
And it almost feels like it's like a cultural thing, that hey, at night this is the show that you have, and in the mornings this is the show, the stuff you have on TV. So I wonder, especially long term, what effect is that having, because what that's really doing is it's changing
Ah.
the perspective. It's telling people, hey, this is the world that you live in, even
Mm-hmm.
though in your actual life you have no proof that that is how it's working. We're telling you, hey, people are getting shot every day. You're probably going to be next. But then you're 50 years old, so you've lived quite a few days, and that has not happened to you yet. But this is still what you're going to believe.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. It's very, very interesting. I never thought of the perspective of like changing the cultural behavior or like mindset. And I mean that's true, right? Like the media is a medium, right? And so
Yeah.
Hmm.
like the medium has the power to like how to put like a magic spell, on people, and like repeat it over and over and over and over again. Yeah, it makes sense that would be like changed. So like, and here's the interesting part, right? Like the media could change the world to actually a really fucking good place, because you never see, or like you rarely see, let's say 80% is shit, or 70% is shit. 20% is maybe like some normal good stuff, and then 10% is like weather or whatever, like in the TVs or like in the news. And if they would shift like from 70% shit to 70% good, like how people will be like, oh, there's actually people helping each other. Oh, there's actually this thing, oh, there's
Yeah,
that, like all good people doing this stuff. I might give people a lot of trust back in humanity,
yeah, definitely.
and yeah, and just lead the world in a better place.
I have every once in a while during the week I sit down on Reddit and just kind of just look at the stream of the different like subreddits that I follow. And there's one called Humans Being Bros, and it's a whole subreddit about just people doing cool things for other people. So
Mhm.
I remember a while back I was reading this post where someone was like, "Hey, what is something that you've done that no one's ever gonna find out?" And someone posted that they were reading on Reddit this girl's story that she was getting like abused by her husband or something like that, and he realized that the person who was writing that was like his sister or something. So he made a new account and kind of like for a few weeks helped her out to know that she can like trust her family and go to her friends and all that so she can get out of the situation. And she finally like did. She finally kind of like opened up to the family and all that, and was able to get out of the situation. And he was like, she's never gonna know that I made this account for her, just to like help her go through that. And there's like the whole subreddit is just full of all kinds of things like that. Even so, I remember a good few months ago there was a huge storm going on at the north side of the United States. And I remember hearing a post about a guy who bought a few hotel rooms for homeless people to stay the night, because if they were stayed outside, they would have just frozen to death. And you don't see that kind of shit in the news for sure.
No, you don't, because for whatever reason, right?
Because they're selling ads.
Yeah, people don't want to see good things on the news, apparently. Those don't sell ads, apparently. I don't know. It's weird. And I completely agree with what Darko said, right? First of all, I do think that media, like news, stuff like that, they definitely have power to influence a lot of the general mind of people who watch it, right? Like, come on, they're being exposed to that all the time. It's like affirmations almost. And I definitely think that power could be used for good. And then I have to put like a question mark there, because who decides what is good, right? But if you're gonna be talking about something, then what's prettier, right? Like stories about people doing things that they want to do, completing things that help others in whichever way, right? Or these stories about like, oh well, somebody got killed today, like there's crime, in case you didn't know it. Basically, we don't like ads, and we also don't like the news. So yeah, you're starting to take shape.
But I think we might not like the news because the news is trying to sell us ads.
Yeah,
that is
right.
So maybe it's just that we know that deep down
the word,
Yeah.
It's like they're showing us they're selling us what we should believe, and we're not buying it because that's ads.
Yeah, cool.
All
Okay,
right,
guys,
that's it.
Fucking amazing, and hopefully next week again.
Cool. Okay, all right. Hopefully next week again. Thank you. Big harvest.
If you haven't subscribed no.
Subscribe now. Put that like button. Raise your keyboard. Write to us. Let your mama know we are coming home.
Ashley, Roger and out.